Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Scale Gap podcast. Very much awaited. I take full responsibility for it. Persian, how are we doing?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I mean, essentially, guys, the reason there haven't been any podcasts is because it's fully on me here. It's like I don't know. I was on a 2 month hiatus on my YouTube. Then we're back now. It is what it is. But I mean, we're just gonna go straight into it because I think the first thing we kind of wanted to talk about kind of relates to team of the season rumors about potential like skill upgrades, weak foots that could have happened, and like just the concept of juicing up the stuff. But before we get into that version, there was something you were telling me yesterday, but I didn't really react to it because I saved it for the podcast. Something about a tweet you saw under.
Um, I think I saw a discussion. I think it was Nepenthes. I'm not sure who it was, but basically, someone said, "Why do you think three-star cards basically are not usable or they can't be fun?" And I think Nepenthes made a really good point. When you play a game in which basically everything is about winning, it's hard to make anything fun when you lose because you don't get anything for just playing. Like you don't go into foot champs, play 30 games, lose them all and make anything. Like you don't make coins that way. So you're not going to progress like building your team. You're not going to have fun. So what happens? Everything that becomes meta becomes a must because you want to win games, you want to progress and you want to have fun. So that's the point he made. If you want to have meta teams and want to have diverse teams, you're going to have to juice cards and make more 5-star, 4-star cards because that's pretty much the only way you can realistically do well. That was his point. And I thought it was a good point. What
So
about you?
I mean, yeah, the thing is, I'm like conflicted on the whole thing because I I think it also depends how you consume the game. For me, it doesn't matter. Like the game is, it's a football game. It's a 1v1 football game. It has to be to an extent about winning. So I don't know how you would limit that. Like because that was the first thought I had. And it's like I don't think the game isn't fun because you lose. Obviously, winning makes everything better, but like for me personally, I it just feels like because the responsibility I have to take for my L's are just because of factors that I literally think should not even exist. That makes it more unfun for me than like you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to like explain
The,
it.
the the point the point I'm trying to make here is if you're looking at from a casual perspective, a casual player would be less bothered. Obviously, everyone wants to win. That's a given. But a casual player would be less bothered by losing if it didn't have the repercussions it has now. It's a big time consuming thing playing 30 games of foot champs in a weekend. So if he goes into those 30 games in foot champs, he obviously wants to give himself the best odds to get a result, right?
Right?
So even if you're not a competitive player, you're trying to get the best team. No one realistically is going to choose for a three-star player unless they're really a fan of that certain player. If they don't see themselves getting the best odds for winning, in my opinion, like that's the problem here, and that's why I think he made a point to just juice the cards a bit more and then give them a 5-star weak foot or skills to make them more usable, basically.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So then essentially it becomes a way to circumvent the toxic like setup of FIFA because essentially the only mode you have is foot champs, and if you don't play foot champs, the only mode you have is rivals, where you play people of your own skill level. And so if you had a mode like the World Cup mode, maybe the whole juicing out problem wouldn't even exist because I think having a World Cup mode type of mode with open matchmaking and if
The,
you lose, you just restart. That's the closest we'll ever get to like a casual experience in FIFA because you at the
Not
end of the
just
day,
that. No,
go
I
for it,
don't
go
think
for it.
it's just that. I don't think it's just that. I think the problem is every game mode you play, you have to have a meta team. Like, for example, we would have tournaments back in the day, right? They would give you a restriction, play with a silver team. Well, if you're playing with a silver team and your opponents are playing with a silver team, there's no issue. At that point, you can say, okay, it's still about winning, but now I can play different types of squads. Obviously, within silvers, there's OP players as well, but it's less of a gap than what it is now, right? When you talk
Right.
about team of the season cards and like the normal gold cards or whatever. So I think there's definitely ways to make the game more fun and also just reward people for just playing. So it doesn't have to be all about winning anymore. So you can actually experiment, like do fun things without like having to pull your hairs out. Like because icon swaps, for example, like we're all pretty good players and like still that shit is stressful to us, right? Like it's
Very.
icon swaps, like getting wins in rivals is just frustrating. It's like a frustrating experience because everyone plays in such a negative manner and just to try and win and sweat out every game. Like you can't have fun doing that. So at that point I'm thinking, I don't know, man. Like I think Nepenthes or whoever, I think it was Nepenthes, he made a very good point and I agree with him that when the game's all about winning, you don't play with non-meta players anymore. It's just a
Yeah.
waste of time.
Yeah, I mean the thing about swaps is it's too much on the line to the point where if you're both using a Bundesliga team with like non-rares and you get a draw, and the fact that neither of you get anything out of it, or if one loses, it's like a double. It doesn't feel like a loss. You feel like you've lost twice because you
Yep.
just wasted time, and you're still 7 wins away. But I mean, so basically, you would say that you're pro the juicing up the weak foot or whatever.
It's not that simple, because like there's pros and cons to it. Like if you juice all the cards in the game, obviously, like you are a big advocate of it. It's just gonna break the game at a certain point if you have too many OP cards. So I'm more of a I think the whole setup of the game should change. I don't think we should have to pick like this option. I think the whole setup of the game should just entirely change and it shouldn't be the way it is that every single game mode is about sweating it out and winning. It's not about just playing the game, having fun, like experimenting basically. It's all about having to win. Otherwise, you're
Yeah,
just wasting your time. And like, why do you play a game? You want some sort of progression, right? Like, what's the point of going into foot champs and losing 30 games in a row? Like,
yeah, there is no point. I mean, for
yeah.
me, it's like it depends. It's super contextual because there were certain aspects that I enjoyed. I mean, we this started all with shapeshifters. I think it started with like players going from right foot to left foot. I thought that was weird. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's kind of weird.
I didn't
My
mind it.
favorite
I thought it was something different, so I didn't mind it that much.
like a left-footed Ronaldo. I was like, I can't,
It's
man.
funny.
Come on, man. If I was Ronaldo, I'd be like, yo, what is this? But my favorite by far was the work rates because that shapeshifter Messi just always catches my eye because he's high low. I think that's a cool one. Now the weak foot is like contextual. If it wasn't for the game, then I wouldn't have a problem with this. But like it's a weird one because I have a problem with it because of how the game is. Like we know what it is. It's the ball roll, it's the drag back, and if you give people a 5-star weak foot Ben Yedder, or not Ben Yedder, sorry, Mbappe, and Ben Yedder is already annoying as hell. Like I think you're opening a can of worms that I'm actually terrified of. And it's just like, it's unfortunate because you can't really give like a black and white answer. I don't remember 5-star weak foot being this annoying in previous years.
That's
Maybe last
remember
year it started, but
I told you this. I asked a couple of our friends this as well. A lot of players like agree like team of the year Suarez in FIFA 17, right? Was one of
yeah,
the best was probably the best player in FIFA 17.
yeah,
Well,
so fun.
arguably. Like it's a lot of people like could disagree and say Son or whatever, but like most people, competitive players would say Team of the Year Suarez anyway. Team of the Year
4-star weak
Suarez was
foot.
a four-star player. There is no chance that Suarez would be able to compete in this game. No
Yeah,
chance.
no chance. You know
And
why?
that's what makes yeah. Well, go ahead.
His best feature. This is gonna blow the kids' minds out if you just picked up
Yeah.
FIFA. His best feature were his offensive runs. That's it. The best thing about him was what he did when you didn't have the ball with him. He was always running into these channels. It was insane. That card was he was different, man. And it's like when a 4-star week, you start thinking it's such a healthier game. You have so many more options when a 4-star is enough, right? Martial is cracked. If you get 5-star, that's like a mega like luxury, but like you don't need it. So that opens the can of worms. And now you do need it. So it's like you have to give Di Maria 5-star, or this and that. But then you give it to him, and now all of a sudden it makes it worse, even though you have to. So I think for FIFA 20, I would have capped weak foot upgrades at like 4-star, but given them all 5-star skills, sure, whatever. But
I
like
I think it's more about the dead angles, man. Like it's all about first post in this game, so that's why weak foot is so important. In the previous games, you would have to open up your body to do maybe a finesse shot, like far post. Like you had more options to finish, so
Yeah.
that's why weak foot wasn't that important. And you had like more dribbling capabilities. You had more space. Like I think it's just the angles in this game that make 5 star so important, man. Like you
Yeah.
have to just finish, and there's no space, so you have to basically utilize every bit of space you get. So you don't have time to turn, you don't have time to basically create the space for yourself to open up your body to be able to do a finesse shot. I mean, finesse shots barely work anyway, but you know,
Yeah, that's
you
the
get what
thing.
I'm
The
saying.
finesse, the far post finesse was more forgiving. Therefore, a 4 star was more usable in it. Now, because you need the power shot and it's such a tight angle, it works obviously. But like a 4 star, you're gonna feel that 4 star so much more because you're asking for like such a weird shot.
Yep.
Um, but one interesting thing that I thought about when you brought that tweet up and like I was thinking about, do I like this, do I not, is that it kind of creates, it has already, it's too late, there's no going back. It's created a dangerous precedent in which um like the expression, you give someone a finger, they take the whole arm. Now people have like such a, we've given, EA has given, right, the weak foot upgrades in a promo, and now like instantly, it's not even been 2 weeks and they're
Yeah.
like, surely
Yep.
we'll get it for team of the season as well. So now like people are just going to be set for disappointment. And so it's
Mhm.
like, how far does this go? Like, because now every year people are going to be wanting this stupid 5 star weak foot upgrade. And like, I think like we would have been overall better off without, as bad as we needed more 5 star weak foot players. I think there's just more cons than pros, because now you've kind of screwed yourself forever. Now you're always going to have that promo that potentially breaks the game, unless the game is good, which is very
I mean,
unlikely.
at this point now, a lot of foot birthday cards are pretty much the best players in the game just because of that 5 star, 5 star. Like that Mbappe, like you can have his team of the year is lower than his
Yeah.
foot birthday, which makes absolutely no sense because team of the year should be the best ones, but like they're not because you just gave the other one a 5 star weak foot, which is probably the most unique trait like in the game.
Yeah. So what are they going to do next year to rebalance it? Like, team of the year cards are going to, they're gonna break the game even more. Like, I don't even know what they're gonna do for that, because now they realize, oh, our team of the year cards are less desirable than for birthday. They're not supposed to be. Like, they're supposed to be like these mythical items that everyone
Yeah.
wants, but no, for birthday Mbappe is better. But
Yeah, I agree. It's they put themselves in an awkward position, but yeah, that's on them.
yeah. It is on them, but also to some extent, when I see, because obviously my Twitter timeline these days, it used to be mostly gameplay people, but now it's mostly people who consume the game like a card game, right?
Mhm.
Like I literally see people say, "Yo, I haven't played this game in like 4 months. What's the meta?" I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, you can't be joking right now. Like, how are you tweeting like about FIFA so much without playing it? Like, respect, but Jesus, I guess there's a whole other world with like trading, but they just care about these weak foots, so, or the card or the aspect or what it brings to the table, but is what it is."
All right, so I have a question for you. Let's move on to the next section. So we haven't had a podcast in so long. There's been a lot of patches, right?
Yes.
So they updated certain aspects of the game. Now they put a stamina nerf on drop back. They put a stamina buff on team press. So my question is now, like after playing this game for a while now, after all these patches, what do you think is worse? Overload ball side or team press? And
I
why?
think I think this is a controversial opinion in the sense that most people will say the other thing, but 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, it's not even close. It's not even close. I'm juicing it. I'm building it up. Team press is 10 times worse. It's 10 times worse than overload ball side, because they're both should not even be close to the game. Little asterisk here. Let's just both note how they're both defensive mentalities. And oh no, they're not. One's a whatever. Yeah, one's a defensive mentality. One's a D-pad thing. But team press is worse because if you overload the ball side, if you drop back, you're an annoying little rat, sure, but you're still limited because you're not really taking the ball from me. I can be a little bit more patient, and your counter attacking is limited. If you can attack, that's great, but essentially you're gonna win the ball back deep, and if you're that bad, you're probably only gonna do damage if you triggered me, which you might as well have. But team press, all of a sudden, everyone on the pinch is marked. All of a sudden, you're pressing like Prime Gorilla in FIFA 17. All of a sudden, I can't take a goal kick, bro. It's like, it makes me anxious. All of a sudden, your 4-3-3 doesn't look like a 4-2-3-1. You have 5 defenders because all of your CDMs have dropped back, and all of there's no midfield. There's like a line of defense and a line of attack. All your forwards and his CDMs and his defenders are on one side, and then vice versa on yours. No one's in the middle. Everyone's marking each other on the wings, and it's just a mess. And like, even if you call players short, they don't come short fast enough. And if they do, because of composure, like, you take a awful touch because this guy's on your ass. No. It's so much worse. It has to be.
I would say I agree, but it's mostly because say you play an average player, like someone that's like gold 3, like silver 1 or whatever, right? When they play overload ball side, all they can basically do is defend. So it's on you to find the creativity to like find the space to be able to score a goal, right? So end of the day, if you end up losing, even though it's really a really broken mechanic, it's still on you kinda, because you could have tried to find the creativity and to be able to score a goal in the end. Because I mostly then blame myself. It's annoying to play, but if an average player uses team press, they actually feel like way better than they are, because you can literally not get out, especially if the gameplay is bad. You can't get out of the press. Like, you won't be able to turn fast enough. You won't be able to pass fast enough. You won't be able to like utilize the spaces because your player's just standing still. Usually when someone team presses me, I team press them back because there's no other real alternative for me, because like otherwise my player will just be standing there like while his players are flying at me like 120 miles an hour. So that's the problem. Like, I feel like team press actually makes players better without them doing anything. Like, it makes them better. It makes it feel like you're really being pressed. Like, that's the problem in my opinion. Like, overload ball side, I can still see how you're an average player. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
really
it's
change
true.
anything.
It's true. Like, when someone's playing overload and they start like, they win the ball back and then you see how they pass, you're like, dude, you're actually like garbage. But I can't break you down, and obviously it's your fault when you can, but I usually just don't even go down that route anymore. I just start being like, if I had the offensive eye, you'd be toasted right now. But that kind of reminds me, I remember at the start of the year, someone tweeted, does anyone know a counter to team press that isn't turning on team press yourself? It was like, that made me crack up. But I think when I think about it, especially, I think about it and it makes me like fume, because R1 second man press was taken out. No idea why. You can only presume as some sort of gift to the competitive players, it turned out to be the worst gift ever, because you hear everyone complaining, oh, this guy's just holding Vieira and holding R1 second man press and just chilling on the edge of the box. So they take that away, like it's gonna like make me a happy man, and you replace it with this, and it's like a double L. If you take it away and you don't put team press, that's an L. But then you take it away and you put team press, that's like, it's not even a double L. It's like a like L to the I don't even know, dude.
I completely agree with that, but the problem here is I'm very curious to what their thought process was, because they took out like R1 pressing because they apparently thought it was OP, right? Or they thought it was apparently a mechanic that was too strong in their opinion. Then what were they smoking that they actually put team press in? Like, you literally don't have to do anything. You just press a button and they fly at you. Like, you don't even have to press R1 anymore. They just do it themselves. Like, I don't understand that thought process, man.
It's wild, man. I think the other day I saw a tweet about and by the way, we talk a lot about tweets, so I think in the future we're just going to have a segment where we just bring on tweets and we say who tweeted it, and we say this is stupid or this is brilliant. Like, we don't care anymore. That's going to happen. But I saw this tweet, right? And he was saying like something like, oh, I beat someone, and he was crying about it. He was better than me, but I outplayed him and I out tacted him. I was better than him tactically, and that just made me like, bro. There's just no skill gap. You don't out tactic someone. You know what I mean? Like there was a time where you face a diamond, so you're like, I'm gonna go 4-3-3-4. Yeah, but that's like 25% of the battle. Good job. You just did a good matchup, but now you gotta outplay him. No, 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 no. Now you just choose the right formation, the right tactic, and you don't have to do anything, bro. All of a sudden, the inertia of the game switches. That's the problem I have. Tactics, if you want a game where you can literally, quote unquote, out tactically maneuver someone, go play Football Manager, bro. They're turning into a game where as long as you choose the right tactic, change something, even for the sake of changing it, you don't even know why you're changing to a 3 at the back, maybe, but it just works. And that's all you need. I have a massive problem with that. I can't be seeing people say you got out tactically maneuvered, so I beat you. Yeah, congratulations, bro. You pressed the right button. Now your AI is done everything for you. I can't stand that. And we've gone to that place somehow. Somehow we have gone away from a more manual game, despite the nerf of second man press, and we're in for. I mean, we're in for a treat in FIFA 21 because God knows what kind of bugs are going to exist with the coronavirus taking time away. So, and this is what we got with a full game cycle.
I mean, we've said this in previous podcasts before. This game has become less and less manual every year. It's basically all been more AI oriented, more casual friendly as games have gone by. So this is no surprise, but I don't understand why every single game has to have something broken in it, man. Why? I don't understand. Why does something have to be so OP that there's barely any counter to it, if any at all, I don't understand that.
Yeah, and I start thinking, okay, you have to play with a defensive mentality that does something for pressure after heavy touch or whatever. So what was the equivalent? Genuinely, what was the equivalent of team press or drop back in FIFA 17? And the reason I say FIFA 17, because I always get flamed for this, I'm not saying FIFA 17 is the holy grail. I just use it as a reference point because it's the first Frostbite game, and it's without a doubt the best Frostbite game. So it's there's no point of me going back to FIFA 16 and before on a different engine, a completely different game, It's not a reference point.
Didn't have foot champs either.
Didn't have foot champs. FIFA 17 is the best comparison. What was, okay, I know what the drop back equivalent of FIFA 17 was. It was Park the Bus. That was annoying as hell, right? But team press wise, it just,
the alternative was player switching fast enough and pressing R1 to press people, basically.
That's it.
Not anyone. That's the thing, though. Not anyone could just press R1 at any given time and press you. It just didn't work that way. You had to actually switch your players. You had to right stick and switch your players and do that to be able to put a good press on someone. It wasn't as simple as just holding down R1, man. If anyone would do that against me, you would just rail them. You would literally just find all the open spaces. That's the problem I have with team press. You don't have to do anything. You just sit there and look at your team just surrounding everyone. It's cut crazy. All the passing lanes. There's nothing that you can do against it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had to tinker how I use team press, because I would do team press, and on top of that I would manually switch, and then I realized I'm hurting myself. Just select one dude while you team press and just run around with him, because if you actually just let the computer mark everyone, don't overthink it. But if you have a 17, you also had, and also 18, those old school tactics, right? So the equivalent of team press would go, you had sliders, you would go 100 aggression, 100 team width, or not with whatever. But even that 100 on that plus offside trap, it just wouldn't do what team press does now. I have never seen.
Wasn't even close.
So, yeah, and it wasn't. Who the hell's calling me now? What the fuck? And it wasn't even what's it called? What was I saying? Oh yeah, you can see pressure after possession loss. You could see they changed something, because pressure after possession loss and pressure after heavy touch, out of nowhere, something happens and your whole team just pushes up. I've never seen that before FIFA 19, and obviously you couldn't replicate that with the old tactics, because they weren't sliders that acted upon a queue. They were just pushed your team up, made them more narrow, widened them. That's pretty much it. So something was done here, and like the execution was beyond poor. It just flipped everything on its head for the worst.
Yep. So basically, they've had all these patches to conclude this. They've had all these patches to try and fix the game since the start of it. What do you think? Did they did they make it any better? Like, what's the progression of this FIFA? Did it become better? Did it become worse? Like,
This FIFA, I think there was a point where I definitely became better when they nerfed the crap out of overload ball side, right? But because there was a point where I couldn't play anymore because everyone was overloading and there was no counter to it. The stamina nerf really helped a lot less people use it. That doesn't mean that people don't drop back. They do. Some people still overload. But I mean, it went from games 0 to 10 being the same as 20 to 30 because everyone's overloading to at least games 0 to 15. Not
yeah,
that many people are overloading. So it did get better, but like it's not like once you solve that, you were in a promised land. We're back to square one. Game day one where I was still saying the same things. You know, you've just removed something that people took a little bit of time to learn. That's about it. I mean, then we had like a recent patch where they nerfed overload even more, but they removed some of the nerf on team press, which even if it was like negligible, there's nothing. It doesn't matter if by 0.001%. There's no need to increase team press at all.
so, and like to conclude, do you think the game's better in a better state than the start of the game, or do you think it
No,
just doesn't
no, no, no.
matter?
Then the start, no, because the worst wasn't in the start. It was like along the way. So no, the game's not better. If anything, it's worse
Yeah.
because um, I think it's just like people know it more. You know, at least at the start, people are playing kind
That's
of
true.
semi-normal.
That's definitely a big factor. Yeah. So the game didn't necessarily even isn't that big of a factor in it. It's just the community just learned what's broken and started
Yeah,
using it on a massive scale. I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
I
All
mean,
right.
yeah. Just last thing on it is that when everyone was fighting for team of the season cards in FIFA 19, I told you about near post finishing, and here we are. So like, not you, Persian, just like the world.
Yeah.
So we know the bed was made. Now we're lying in it. So it was always going to be a bit of an L. But yeah.
That's
Um,
GG.
which it actually is a good segue, right? Because I feel like I don't know if this is something that happens every year, but recently, again, we reference back the tweets. Don't worry, soon enough we'll be quoting them. Been tweets that I've seen the past few weeks. Maybe it's the quarantine speaking. I don't know. People are saying things like, FIFA 20 is only a couple changes away. Like, if you speed it up, it's playable.
Yeah.
If you do that, we're close to a decent game. What are your thoughts? Because I don't even know where to start on that.
I mean, the question is, what do they exactly mean by speeding up? But if we're talking about just game speed and like, I could say maybe it becomes more fun or enjoyable because the pace is going to be more, but that's only in end-to-end games. If we're talking the same meta and you speed up the game, if I make a comparison, like if I drive into a wall at a certain speed, I'm gonna crash. So if I up my speed, I'm still gonna crash into that wall. So it doesn't really change anything, does it?
No, it
It's
doesn't.
basically that's basically the only thing I can think of. Like it's if someone's playing overload ball side, they can up the pace as much as they want. I'm still gonna run into them. Like there's no solution in game speed in that sense. Like I don't think that's what makes this game more bearable, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, assuming they meant dribbling, making it better, does that really solve this
I
game?
mean, like I said, it makes it slightly better, but it's not going to make it a good game. Like
True,
it's not
true,
going to
true.
go it's not going to go from FIFA 20 is trash to like oh shit it's actually pretty fun. Like no, I don't think it works like that. I think the mechanics that are in the game currently and the way the game is set up, like the passing assistance, like all it is, like the whole game is there's so many broken aspects to the core of this game that I don't think simply buffing dribbling or like upping game speed is gonna solve anything. Like I said, it's gonna make it more bearable, but it's not gonna make it a good game. It's
Yeah.
definitely not a couple changes away of getting good. Definitely,
This
definitely
kind
not.
of reminds me of in a way when in FIFA 19 when they nerfed, which obviously didn't work completely, but it did make a big change. There were a lot of those first time, we forget this, man, the 180 first time finesses, and like that actually became the norm. Like people accepted that in the end, which is mind-boggling in itself. But like when they nerfed that, dude, I was surprised that so many people were like, how am I gonna beat drop back now, right? It's like, what do you mean? Like, who cares? You cannot have that in the game no matter what, because a lot of these people are trying to think of changes to add in the game to solve a problem like drop back or overload ball side. But like all of these solutions screw the experience for anyone else. What happens when two poor souls who don't play drop back play each other, and now you have a game where you can score no scopes from 80 meters, right? People saying you can't cross in this game, therefore overload is the problem. Okay, what happens when two people who don't overload play each other? Like crossing's even more OP then, right? Like why do you have
It's
to make
what you're basically trying to say is they're trying to find a broken mechanic to counteract a broken mechanic instead of just trying to make a healthy game. They're trying to just make the game more broken and battle broken things with broken things, basically.
Yeah, okay, now basically we all have to play overload because we just added, hypothetically, we just added crossing back like it was in FIFA 19. But we all have to play overload because if two poor souls don't play with overload and drop back and crossing is that good, then the game's just like a mess. So these solutions are just mind blowing. Like, what do you mean make crossing great? What do you mean make long shots good again? Like, no, like we're so far off the right idea that like then you start to wonder, you know, how how much of this feedback is really like useful. Then again, does it even matter, because how much is it really being listened to?
Yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head there. Like that's the core thing. Like I don't think it even matters like what anyone says. They've made up their mind and they just look at the metrics of how many packs are we selling in this game. Is it more? Is it less? Okay, we deviate or we keep on the course we're going on, like based on their sales. And I honestly think that's the thing, man. Like devs can say what they want, they can have their own thoughts, but it's probably just all being decided from the higher ups. It's as simple as that, man.
Yeah, that hit hard. Hit really hard.
So, yeah, you wanted to finish. You wanted to talk about something else. Oh, the
Uh
coaching thing. The coaching
oh
thing.
yeah.
The coaching
We
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, recently, if you're not on Twitter and you like play FIFA, you're literally missing out on the best part of FIFA because so like why are you playing but not reading tweet? Like, anyways, there's been drama recently, as it always comes up. This is like nothing new. Every now and then, there's a lot of people on FIFA Twitter who offer coaching services one on one, and I don't really have massive thoughts on it, more or less, but what really grasps my attention is the attention this actually gets itself, because as soon as someone posts their prices, there's always one guy who starts calling the guy out because it's too much or it's a scam, and then from there it's a snowball effect of I've seen the whole piano lesson thing a million times. Like, I have that shit memorized basically. Oh, we pay for piano lessons, therefore why can't we pay for FIFA lessons? That's like the argument of those who support coaching. And then the guys against it are saying like, why are you charging 30, 40, 50 or 60 euros when retail price of the game is 60 euros, but you're doing that for 1 hour, you know? It's like it just starts a snowball effect. So I never really, I mean, maybe you have, but like, what's your stance on that? And then we'll see what we can play off of it.
My stance, man. The thing is, listen, I think if the market decides, like, if someone wants to ask 40 euro for his coaching lesson, and someone is, I'm sorry, but crazy enough to pay that, well, that's on them. Like, if they want to do that, that's their money. I'm not going to decide for other people what to do with their money. Do I think it's smart? Do I understand it? No, absolutely not. I don't understand that at all. Like, it's not even. It's so far from my understanding that like I can't even put into words how stupid I think that is to do with your money. But end of the day, it's their money. the thing is with coaching, I think if you want to be good at something and you need help or whatever, I understand that. But to be able to, like, this is not a skill you're gonna use. Like if you compare it to piano lessons, like you can basically apply that everywhere in your life. This is just FIFA. It's a video game. Like, and the whole adventure of playing video games, in my opinion, is learning it yourself, getting better bit by bit, and having to pay someone a crazy amount of money. If it was like what, like $10 maybe, it'd still be a lot, but I'd understand it more. But there's actually people like asking like 40 to 100 an hour. Like I'm like, what can you even learn in that aspect of time? I don't understand that, man. Like I don't.
Yeah, it's it always is entertaining for me to see like how it develops. I started to think about it. Is the problem like, you know, the reputation of whoever offers it? Because I remember seeing a gorilla tweet about it. He's like, "How much would you pay for me to be your coach?" Right? And like
Mhm.
the response under that one was completely different, right? Because we're talking about someone who was a world champion. So like at that point, people are
Mhm.
less like, I guess, toxic. There's still some people like, no, Spenny, don't do this, please, please. But like mostly people were saying, I'll pay you 100 an hour, and people are saying, I'll pay you 50 an hour, comfortably 80, man, please, please. So what if a world champion asks, a pro FIFA, like an established, like what
Listen,
do you think about
as
that?
personally, I wouldn't be comfortable taking $100 off someone for doing a simple task like that. But I understand if they want the money, if they're interested in making money that way, that's on them. Like I don't see anything wrong with it when no one's forcing you to pay them $100 an hour. If you want that coaching lesson that bad, like sure, just do it. Just like I said, the market decides basically, right? If no one pays them $100, they're not going to charge you $100. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I think it's the community, man, wanting to learn basically that much. Well, that's on them. I can't really judge on what people do with their money, man. It's just as simple as that.
What do you think about the people who are so outraged by it?
I don't understand why you would be outraged on what anyone does that doesn't affect you in any in any way. To be honest, like that's like I've seen those guys on Twitter. Like it's comedy. Like it makes me think of trolls as well. Like I'm sitting there thinking, why are you so bothered by what someone else is doing? Like how is this affecting you in any way? Like it's not negatively affecting you in any sort of way, other than I could say like jealousy. Maybe you're jealous that they're making the money and you're not. Like I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know why you would be bothered by it. The only thing I can say is when I read it, I just don't get it. But like I'll just shrug my shoulders and move on. But like I'm not sitting there outraged that someone's asking that kind of money. Like,
I think that's like the most accurate
more power to
one.
them. Like if they want to make the money, like more power to them.
Yeah, I think that's where I can relate to the most, because I see all these people, and the only reason I can imagine them being so outraged is that they're genuinely so like outraged and by people getting exploited for money. But like, if you're someone who cares so much about quote unquote, like, I don't know, defenseless people getting exploited, like there's so many other actual things going on in the world where people are actually getting exploited, because there's no online
They're not
FIFA
the
coach that's literally grabbing you through the screen and being like, yo, you're buying this like right now. So
that's the thing. You can't say exploited when no one's forcing you to
yeah,
do anything.
exactly.
These people are making their money and they're offering it. They probably have like a decent salary to be able to pay that kind of money. So if it's worth it to them, like who are we to judge to say like it makes no sense, you shouldn't do this? Like I'm not their financial advisor. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I don't get why people think it's their job to defend people that didn't even need defending,
To
basically.
police. It's kind of a
Yeah.
weird one for me as well, because obviously I do tutorials for the guide, and like every now and then, you know, my job is to, at the beginning of the tutorial, advertise their coaching program, which is weird because I don't do it myself, because I don't know. I don't feel it that much. I did a coaching session on my YouTube, but it was for free, right? I just
This
asked someone
game
to
is
send
fucking
me,
shit.
yo, Makispa, thank you for the Twitch Prime. I just asked someone to send me a replay, and I just did a coaching video, quote unquote, just a quick one, analyzing it just for free to see if the YouTube like channel would like it. But like in a way, I just putting that out there because I feel like there's a chance being like, yo, why are you advertising that on your videos for the guide? Well, because they pay me to, so like that's why. But I don't do the coaching myself. I'm just saying, yo, they have coaches. If you want it, go for it. But otherwise, look at this tutorial. You have everything you can ever wish for from them.
And the thing is, apparently it works for a lot of people. Otherwise, people wouldn't go back to the whole coaching thing, right? Like people obviously keep doing it, so they're seeing some sort of result. So yeah,
I think it's
like I
just like
said, the market decides, man.
yeah, there's nothing I think revolutionary about coaching. It's just sometimes you want to get better, but you're also kind of a lazy little shit, so you don't want to do the work. So you're basically paying someone to do the work for you, and like you just play the game, you send them the replay, and they give you a synopsis. This is what you got to do, right? It's much easier that way instead of playing the game, watching your own replays back, and making your own analysis, etc., etc. Because yeah, for the most part, that's the main it's like with anything, like most things in life now you can get tutorials and stuff, but this is just paying for like an organized approach.
I think the thing is, what's the alternative? Are they supposed to do their coaching for free? Like
Yeah,
the people that
exactly.
get so the people that get so outraged over it. That's why I said like the only thing I don't really get is the pricing, because I think $30 an hour is a lot of money. Like
Yeah,
for a lot of jobs. Like I don't understand where that like rate comes from, you know? Like I don't understand who makes $30 an hour just doing normal jobs that don't really take a lot of skill, in my opinion. So that's what makes it weird to me from that price point. But other than that, like I don't know, are they supposed to do it for free? Are they just from the kindness of their heart, like waste their own time and start coaching everyone? Like it's weird, man. Like you can't be mad that someone puts time into something and wants to see like some sort of like what's it called, like fee for it.
yeah, that's true, that's
So
true.
yeah.
Like the video itself I made for the coaching was like, it was over an hour of my time, right? But I got a YouTube video out of it. But if someone doesn't have a YouTube channel, they're spending 1 or 2 hours on it, obviously. Yeah. I mean, sure, it'd be nice. Like, I just did that, and I've already got like 5 or 6 more people asking, "Yo, can you do it for me?" And I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
We'll see how the video does based on that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, did you have anything else to say? Or are we gonna we can, does anyone in the chat have any questions maybe?
Yeah,
Or
this
things to
is
say, opinions?
the part of the stream where if you have a question that you want to ask, go for it.
Interactive part, man. You think a leveling up system like PES for players would alleviate the weak foot issue and closed meta issue you talked about? I mean, that's a very interesting point, by the way, because like the whole PES thing, PES has really, really good features that could be implemented in FIFA in a good way. But what do you think, Stein?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think yeah, they do have weak foot there, but obviously I remember watching an advanced PES streamer, because every now and then I do, because I still play it sometimes, so I kind of want to know what I'm doing. And some guy just said, he literally said, any 92 player is good, right? Someone asked, yo, if I upgrade this guy to 92, is he good? He's like, dude, anyone's good. So that sounded kind of cool. You pretty much have your favorite player. For example, like if I could upgrade my Zaniolo to a 93 rated card somehow, obviously he won't play the same as a 93 rated Messi, but he's going to be good. I think it would be fun. Would it solved weak foot? No, because you're just applying the concept to the FIFA gameplay, so I don't think it would, but maybe alleviate, yeah. Yeah, you said alleviate anyways. Maybe.
Match 95 said, do you think the weird animations are what's truly responsible for the slow gameplay?
No.
Well, you've thought about that a long time, man.
No, I mean, it was slow gameplay. What do you mean? Like, bad response? Because we've had bad gameplay for years, dude. Like, if you mean connectivity issues, and some of the animations there we have now didn't exist before.
I think the animations are part of it, but they're definitely not truly responsible for it. I think connection is mostly responsible for it. It's not even just connection. Like I don't even know what it is exactly, to be honest, because sometimes you feel like your ping is low, your connection's fine. There's something deep rooted in this game that no one probably knows except the devs, and maybe the devs don't even know. Who knows, man? But I think that it's hard to for us to basically judge or have an expert opinion on this when we don't know enough about the coding in this game. Even offline, it feels like they're taking way too long to. I completely agree, like that, but that's the problem. That's why it's so hard to pinpoint what it is exactly. Is it just connection? Is it the coding? Is it something inherently deep in the game that's just wrong, basically?
I remember when I used to play career mode, back like ages, like 2008. The first season, I was like, "Yep, I just got to get through the first season because my players turn like truck. Doesn't matter who you start with." Then all of a sudden, they start turning again. I was like, "Cool, I'm season 2," and now here we are, 12 years later, and it's Ultimate Team version. Why my team doesn't do AI movement when gameplay is bad? Well, I don't know. Maybe I never had good gameplay because I don't see it when gameplay is good, my guy. They just don't move. I mean, yeah, dude, I'm spamming the R1 button. Next year, I won't have an R1 button, bro. Tarek, like, ain't
That
happening.
clip you had, did you have it on Twitter or did you put it on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
where
yeah.
you're
It's
where
on
you're
Twitter.
Nangolan's just when you're Nangolan's just looking into the distance, like standing still, like thinking,
So
contemplating life.
bad, bro.
Oh my
So
god.
bad. That happens so much as well. If you play 4-2-3, like if you want to see that animation, because I don't know, like you want to see it on your own screen, just play 4-2-3-1. It'll happen with one of
Mhm.
your Rammer lads. Well, cheers for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Persian, cheers for coming on a guest on your own podcast.
Thank you, thank you.
Guys,
I feel
hopefully
very welcome.
hopefully we can get on a streak again and get some more episodes going, especially now with the spicy segment where we just take the tweets and care about nothing and just say this guy said something we think is stupid or this guy said something we think is brilliant. So, on that
Also,
note,
wait,
oh yeah, go for it.
put in the YouTube comments if you have any suggestions what you want us to talk about in the next
Absolutely.
episodes.
The YouTubers, the viewers, yeah, let us know. Till next time, peace.
Peace.